Welcome to Knock Talk. We're going to talk about tattoos and gambling. So sit tight and we'll be right back. Welcome to Knock Talk. I'm your host, William Hall. Broadcasting live out of Kingsland, Texas, USA, with another episode of Controversial Issues with Rabbi Chaim Coffman. Welcome back, sir. Hope you are doing well. Rabbi?
Doing just great.
Good.
Pleasure to be here, as always.
Excellent. I got to try to figure out why there's 3 dots on your Skype screen. I got to get rid of those. It's going to bug me. I don't know how to get rid of it, though. Oh, the only way I can get rid of it is turn off the camera. Guess I'm about to cut your eyes off. Oh, that sounded really bad, didn't it?
Can't see.
It did. Now you can't see.
Get up.
Well, I've got to get rid of the hang-up button is not going away. Oh, I know why. It wasn't because of the camera. I think you sent me a message earlier, and I didn't check it. So now I'm checking it, and now I'm closing it out. And now I should be able to get rid of that lower bar. We'll find out in a minute. So anyway, great topics for today. And as usual, Tanakh Talk has been around for a long time, and so more than likely we have covered this before, but sometimes it's nice to get a fresh, just a fresh run with it. So that's where we're at. So Rabbi, let's go ahead and kick this thing off. So tattoos, gambling. We're going to start off with gambling. You probably hit the tattoos on the tail end.
Yeah.
But
tail end, get it? Tail end. Jugga.
Okay, so so we're gonna pretty much all aspects of gambling, like lottery tickets, poker, the whole 9 yards. What's the? Because it's definitely a taboo with Christianity for sure. I mean, no way you can never do that. That sort of thing. So while we're at it, we might as well go ahead and throw drinking into the mix, because all these are like really hot taboos in Christianity. All right.
And you got the right person to do it. So I guess we're up ready to rock and roll. I'll tell a story. I'll tell a story before we get started. Someone once said, I saw an Orthodox Jew, sitting in a casino. So they said, well, don't you hold it's forbidden to go into a casino? So I said, yeah. So they said, well, what was the person, what was this Orthodox Jew doing in a casino? I said, probably gambling, probably having a great time. So I said, I don't understand the question. So usually, those type of questions like, why is someone doing this or why is someone doing that? I have to answer for myself. It's going to be hard enough, right? So I'm not going to answer for someone else. But this is a controversial, definitely is a controversial issue. The question really is, what's the problem? Right? Why should it be something that is forbidden? So there's a Mishnah in Sanhedrin that says that there are certain types of people that are pasul edus. Pasul edus means they have some sort of blemish and they're not allowed to give testimony. Right? One of them is what they call a mesachik bekuvia. Mesachik bekuvia, loosely translated, is like a dice player. Right? Someone who plays cards, someone who plays dice. There are other people that are considered also can't give testimony. Someone who lends money with interest is not allowed to give testimony. Somebody pigeon races, which I guess would be somewhat similar. It's a form of gambling, I guess. Whatever other things also. But we'll hit this aspect of this mesachik bekuvia, what we call a card shark, a dice player. As it's known. So there are two reasons. Why there's an issue, right? Basically, we look at this person like a thief. Now the question is it really considered, standing? Why? It's stealing. So what's really the issue? So the issue is there's a term, as the Talmud says, it's called an asmachta. It means I'm leaning on somebody. Right? That whether I'm doing something where this thing is it gonna be a real acquisition? In other words, he's not relying on his own knowledge. It's usually the case is between one and another person or one and a few people, not necessarily like a whole group per se. So really, you're betting on something and you don't necessarily expect to win, right? Unless it's something we're going to have to clarify, unless it's something that, is a skilled, it's not, there's skill involved, let's say like poker or something like that. But in general, in this case, as we're going to see, you're sort of making a condition, right? The condition is if this happens, then I'm going to get X amount of money. If this doesn't happen, then I lose, right? Now, the question is, this isn't outside knowledge that we're not, no insider, insider trading when it comes to, betting or, gambling, but the success is not dependent on you in general, right? Horse racing, similar thing. Bingo, similar thing, right? There may be a few things, let's say we mentioned like by poker, that might be something skilled, but since it's not depending on you, you don't necessarily want to lose though, right? So if somebody wins and you lose and it's not dependent on you, one aspect of the issue is that it's considered like stealing, right? Even though you tell me, but if I lose, I know I'm losing the money, right? So why is that stealing? The rabbis look at it, since it's not in your hands, it's not necessarily dependent on you. It's like you're getting swindled in a certain way, even if you agree, right? Doesn't matter, whatever it is. That's one aspect. That's one aspect of the prohibition. The second aspect is the fact that the Gemara says that a person is not oisek in yeshivu she'olam. What does that mean? It means he's working, right? He's not part of the real world. Now the question's going to be, what if a person has a job, right? Most people work. So if a person has a job and he makes some money also as, a dice player, card shark, he bets on things, whatever it is, does that make any difference? Right? Now that should make a major difference, right? It should make a major difference for one very simple reason. If he's working, then he's doing something for the world, right? Whatever his job is, making money, supporting his family. So he's quote unquote in the real world.
Okay, guys, sit tight just for a minute. He's coming through really garbled, and I think he may have too many other operations going on his computer. I'm going to call him back, and we'll start this off by me telling him to check his whatever other programs he's got running. It sounds like he's having a hard time getting through.
Yeah.
Okay, hey, do me a favor. Your camera and your everything is coming through really pixelated. And it seems as though, that was you calling me back. It seems as though maybe either your internet is running really slow or possibly you've got other operations running in the background on your computer using up stuff. So if you can close out any programs that you don't need right now, that'll free up your brain on the computer. That'll be helpful. Yeah. So you can go ahead and...
One second.
And we're still live, so you can go ahead and continue when you're ready.
Okay, so I just got rid of...
Especially like internet pages as well. That'll certainly interfere with your...
I just totally got rid of it.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, so we're good. I just got rid of a whole bunch of stuff. So
okay, very good. Yeah, it does seem to be a little bit better. Okay, excellent. All right, continue on.
Okay. So sorry about that. So the issue is if a person has a job, right? If a person has a job and he makes money on the side, makes money, loses money, whatever the case is. If he makes money on the side, betting, gambling, whatever it is, as long as he's got a job, right? If he's got a job, then on this side of the equation, it should be okay. Why? Because this whole thing is you're not doing anything real for the world, right? What are you doing? You don't have a quote unquote real job. This is what you do. So then you're not doing anything for the world, right? There's an obligation, certainly as a Jew, to do something, for the world, Torah, something, whatever. you got to bring in, you got to bring in money, support your family, etc. So if he's doing it on the side, he's got a living, then that should be okay, right? Technically, it should be okay, but it comes out that even if a person has a livelihood from somewhere else, it's still considered a rabbinic infraction, right? Which means it's still not a good thing to do, right? Because it looks like it's stealing, right? Whether you acknowledge it, you don't acknowledge it, doesn't really matter, right? The rabbis look at it as some form of stealing, whether it's complete stealing, not complete stealing, whatever the case is. The bottom line is you make a condition, right? I want this team to win, right? By X amount of points or not or whatever. And if they win, I get X amount. Right now, again, that has nothing to do with me. It's not dependent on me. So they look at it, as something that is, it's not good. It's shady, right? It definitely looks shady. The Rambam, interesting in his commentary in the Mishnah. So the Rambam says you need to be productive in this world, right? You need to do things, in this world. So over here, even if you have another job, right? Even if you have a job and you are doing, you're doing this on the side, right? According to the Rambam, others are going to echo a similar thing. They're going to say you're not being productive. You're doing something that absolutely has no purpose. Now, it doesn't matter if you enjoy it. It doesn't matter you make some money, you lose some money. Forget about addiction. Addiction's another issue, though. What we're focusing on is whether this thing is going to be permitted, or not. There are other side issues, which, we can discuss, right? But at the end of the day, it comes out that even if a person has a side job or a regular job, and you're doing this on the side, right? Technically, it shouldn't be forbidden, but it's still a rabbinical prohibition because we want a person to function properly in society. And so you're going to say, okay, so why are we worried? He's not going to, he's going to give bad testimony. He's going to lie, right? Because over here, he's doing things, they're just wasting time. And when a person wastes time, it has a negative effect. They're going to say, well, maybe it depends on what they're doing, or what the negative things that they're doing by wasting time. So it could be, but you could say, well, how do I know he's going to go out and do this? Because the rabbis understood, right? Somebody like this, doesn't really care, he's doing things that have no purpose. Who's to say? Wouldn't lie for somebody to give bad testimony against his friend. You're going to say, but why is there a connection? Why in the world should there be such a connection? Because the type of person it is, right? That is the issue. That is the issue with the Rambam. As the Rambam explains, that a person has to function in society, and if you're going to do this, small level, bigger level, whatever it is, it's going to ruin the societal structure, right? So explains the Rambam. Comes along the TORAH, one of the major commentaries, explains the second reason, right? And says that the reason it's no good is because what are you going to do, right? You're not always thinking you're wasting time. 100% you're wasting time, right? So even if you have money, even if you're making money, you have a job, doesn't matter, right? The bottom line is that you get other money, and that's going to be light in a person's eyes. Let's say a person, bet on sporting events or whatever, made money. Okay, he can also lose money, but he made money. So other things, and now he's a little bit haughty, thinks he's God's gift to the world, he made a few bucks. So other things in Torah are going to be light in his eyes, right? And therefore, at the drop of a hat, he could go and give bad testimony and lie, even if he has, even has another job. But the question that surrounds all this is, as we mentioned before, is, what level of stealing is it? All right, some say it's 100% stealing, nothing to talk about. So when it comes to when it comes to Sephardim, right? Sephardim follow the Shulchan Aruch clear. So, according to Sephardic tradition, they won't do anything, right? They won't gamble. They won't, forget about, betting on events. They won't buy, let's say, lottery tickets, or they won't buy a ticket, let's say, as part of a fundraiser, for the sake of a mitzvah to help raise money, let's say for orphans, for an institution, or, whatever the case is. And, one of the commentaries points out, why is this considered complete stealing? Because in this case, where a person's betting, right, it's not like, it's on the up and up. He says, okay, I'm going to bet X amount, this team's going to win, and this is the point spread and all that. It's all done in a joking manner, right? It's not really done as like, kind of like a business deal, so to speak. Not only it looks shady, right? But in the end, you're doing it in a joking manner, seemingly in a joking manner. I remember a friend of my father's many years ago used to call a bookie, right? He used to call somebody, make bets on games or whatever. He would call up and he'd use a fake name. So it was kind of funny. I was, I was a kid. All of a sudden he makes a phone call, before cell phone. So it's like, hey, this is Vince. I'm like, who's Vince? This is Vince. So we used to have this running joke. This is Vince. Vinny, whatever. Nice Jewish guy. No longer in this world. In any case, the question here is, since it's done in a joking manner, not really done in like a serious acquisition type of manner, then it should be forbidden, right? So then that gets into the question, right? We'll deal with some of these questions. My Rebbe brings out one question: is, can a person buy a ticket to raise money for a widow? Right? That was the question. In other words, you might make a certain amount of money, right? Also, but you buy a ticket. It's going to be a drawing, whatever, and the money's going to this widow. Obviously, someone's getting also some of it or whatever. So if a person's going to win a lot of money, right, you have a potential to win a lot of money. The question is that called, what we call an asmachta? You have no control. You have no control over here. It is for the sake of a mitzvah, right? Essentially, it's for the sake of a mitzvah. You're giving charity, right? So some say over here, okay, once I've done it, then I've acquired it. Should be okay, right? For this, it's for the sake of charity. Others say it's no different than anything else, right? It's like you're gambling, even though it's for the sake of the mitzvah, right? So some people, so it's a difference of opinion among rabbinical authorities in such a case. In the end, my Rebbe holds in this case that if there's 2-3 people involved, and each one wants to win by buying the tickets, but you're probably not going to win, right? Okay, so two or three people, so you got better chances. But most people don't necessarily think, they're going to win, and you don't have intention to win, right? You don't even, in this case, let's say you had more. Let's say you had an entire group. This is my Rebbe's Chiddush, his novelty, where he says that if there are a lot of people involved, you don't know who the other people are. Right? You don't even know how many people are buying tickets. Right? If you don't know how many people are buying tickets, it's certainly not as intimate, and you don't expect to win. Right? So in this case, it should be okay. But according to Sephardim, let's get another response. According to Sephardim, then they don't like the Shulchan Aruch that, a person does want to win, right? He's buying the ticket, he does think he does want to win. So according to them, all these type of things doesn't matter for the sake of the mitzvah, not sake of the mitzvah. According to Sephardim, 100%, for them it's going to be forbidden, right? But my Rebbe asks, why should they hold, it's forbidden, right? Here the whole thing is, am I acquiring something or am I just exchanging something, right? In other words, am I saying, okay, if this happens, I'm going to win. If that doesn't happen, okay, I lose, right? But in the end, this ticket that the person has, he can sell it on the open market if he wanted to. It's got value, $50, $20, $30, right? Since you could get the value of what this ticket is worth, So you can also lose. What are you going to lose, though? You're going to lose whatever you paid out of pocket. So you're not really relying on this thing, necessarily to win, right? Even if you give it to charity, the ticket's still worth something. But it's not in your hands whether you're going to win or lose. That's true, right? But the ticket itself is worth something. It's not the same as if a person, bet on a game or this and that. That ticket you can't sell for anything, right? It's not worth anything in the marketplace. This ticket's worth something. Worth $10, $15, $20, whatever, whatever it's going to be. Whatever it's going to be. And therefore, you're not relying on that. So my Rebbe asked, why, according to Sfardim, should it be forbidden? Right? Because here you have value. Right? You definitely have value in something. Again, it doesn't matter. It's better. Certainly a person has a job. Right? If you have a job, so you'd say, well, it's less of an issue. It still may be a rabbinic prohibition. Right? But others are going to hold. Right? Ashkenazim holds for sure. If it's something like a lottery ticket, or other things we'll mention should be okay, right? That's not the normal form, of gambling. There is a Shuta Rivosh. The Rivosh, about 100 years ago, 50 years ago, wrote a response, on this question, right? And asked, okay, what's the halacha? What do we do? So he said that according to some, he said there is no issue of stealing, in gambling per se, because, in the end you don't necessarily expect to win, so it's not necessarily stealing. And if a person has a job, it's less of an issue, even though it's going to be a rabbinic prohibition, right? Nonetheless, he says dealing and gambling. Now again, there's a difference in Jewish law, and there's a difference in Jewish philosophy. In Jewish law, right, according, seemingly across the board, even if a person has another job, right, it still should be a rabbinic infraction. Right now, the only question is, Sfardim are going to say everything's forbidden. Ashkenazim are not going to say necessarily, everything's forbidden. There are things that will be permitted. But he holds, the Rivosh says, that even if there's no issue of stealing, right, even if that wouldn't be the issue, dealing and gambling, he says, is the most inappropriate thing. It's despicable. It's abominable. Has caused many casualties in its path. Right? So there's an issue. There's a philosophical issue. Right? The philosophical issue is even if it's not stealing, it causes destruction because people can be addicted. Right? That's no one seems. In the early commentators, later commentaries, right, except for, the Rivosh, others seem to echo it later, right, but the early commentators don't seem to say, well, it's addicting, right, again, it's discussed about drinking also, right, could be addicting, because, a person wants to win, and is excited about winning, etc., and let's say they do win, you don't stop, right, it's something that is very much addictive, in the sense that if you lose, you say, okay, I'll just make it up here. Okay, I'll just make it up here, and then you get so caught up into it that you end up, potentially losing everything. So let's go into a few things practical things. Let's say a lottery ticket. Person allowed to buy a lottery ticket. A lottery ticket is something that's purchased. It's not done on condition. It's not like saying, okay, I'm going to bet on this team and this spread and this and that. It's not the same. A lottery ticket's got value, right, as well. Many hope to win, right, but the potential winnings are a separate entity, right? So that's definitely going to be more true for a lottery ticket. Let's say, the lottery ticket is there for, to help a fundraiser for a yeshiva, right? That you have the potential to win. But the potential winnings is not direct. It's going to be after, right? It'll be after. So therefore, the very act of buying the ticket is considered giving charity, right? It's not like it's hanging in the air. It's not like it's conditional. I do this, and then this is going to happen, or it won't happen, right? What it is I'm doing something where that very act is giving charity regardless of what happens, right? Even if I think I'm going to lose, it doesn't matter. because that money in your mind is already gone because you gave it to charity, right? That was the whole point. You gave it to charity. Others hold that not only lottery, not gambling, but the ticket's already been, you have the ticket. Ticket's already been purchased. But what's the ticket worth? So one of the rabbis this generation, expert in, in these type of laws, says that the ticket is only worth its cost of damages, right? Regardless whether it's a winning one or not. So he's got the value. The ticket is purchased. It's not a condition, right? That is one of the main problems. That it's like a person's making a condition. If you make a condition, then what we're worried about is either somewhat stealing or 100% stealing, right? Because you're not basing it on something you have control over. Over this lottery ticket, you have control. Okay, you're not in control whether you're going to win or not, right? But the ticket itself has been purchased. You're going to get the end result. You'll get the money later, right? So exactly not the same, as what we said before. Now, something a little bit different is what about playing poker? Now, poker is different because it's something you have control over, right? It does involve skill. I mean, there's some luck involved, but it does involve skill. So therefore, a player may think, why are they going to win? Or, God forbid, why would they lose? They lose because of skill. They're not losing because of luck. Right? So therefore, since you're relying on something else, not allowed. Now, what about internet poker? Is that any different? Here, you don't have money on the table. Right? Money's certainly not on the table. So money's not on the table. Shouldn't be allowed. Right? But others would say no. Others would say that even if it's not on the table is more of an issue. But even if it's not on the table, it shouldn't be allowed, even if you argue that you're using your own skill, right? Because remember, the whole problem is I'm not relying on myself. I'm relying on other things, right? It's out of my control. I can't control a football game, right? I can't control a boxing match unless it's fixed, right? In general, but these things you're not in control, whatsoever. So poker's another issue. Right? Because a person could say it's a little bit different. Because a person could say they're winning based on skill. What about fantasy sports? Is there an issue with fantasy sports? Now, fantasy sports, a person can play for fun, he can play for money. If you play for fun, then it shouldn't be an issue. Right? If you're playing with money, right, then what do we say? People will claim that the results are due to skill because they have to pick players. You can't just pick them randomly. I mean, you could in theory, probably won't be so successful. You have to know who's good, who's doing well now, or who has the potential to do well. It's based on skill, right? They'll claim it's based on skill. So therefore, if there's money, it's money. They have the same problem with poker, right? It would be a similar issue. If there's no money, just doing it for fun. Right? It could be, even if a person has another job and he's only doing it for fun, right? So maybe it wouldn't be forbidden because of gambling, but, maybe forbidden because you're just simply wasting time, right? And there's no mitzvah to waste time in this world. So what about going to the horse track? Right? A person goes, bet on horses, right? Also a major business today. So if skill is involved, you look into the horses, you see how they trained. If skill would be involved, again, like anything else, should be forbidden. Right? But here, the parties most likely are non-Jews. And non-Jewish gambling is not forbidden. Right? For non-Jew, it should be okay. We'll have to see. Right? Maybe we'll speak about that at the end. Should it apply to them or not? Right? If you're dealing with Jews, then you certainly have an issue. If you're dealing with non-Jews, less of an issue. Right? It's less of an issue, but nonetheless, still not. It's still going to be forbidden. Now, if let's say you're not doing it for gambling purposes, you're doing it to have fun. I was never, that would never be something I'd be so interested in. But there are people that like to play the ponies. They enjoy it. Okay. So in a certain sense, it may not be gambling. What it may be, though, that we mentioned before, is a waste of time. Right? That could be a total waste of time. Now, does this apply? Does this apply to slot machines? Right? Maybe slot machines are a different thing. Right? So there are those that say slot machines are going to be forbidden. Right? Same thing. Why? Because you don't own the machine. Right? You don't own it. You're not in control. Right? The same thing. It's like stealing. It's like stealing whoever owns the machine. Right? You're not in control. Others consider, it's interesting, others look at it that it's like you own it. Now, why would I think it's like I own it? You go in a casino, you don't own the slot machine. It's not a private thing. You can't just walk in, oh, it's my machine. You can waste all your money in it, but it's not your machine. Right? So the answer is because the money is guaranteed. Right? Unless they think you rigged it or something. But, if 3 sevens come up, you just hit the jackpot. You got 5 out of 6, you're going to win money. The money is guaranteed because it's programmed. Right? The machine itself is programmed. So therefore, it's like the money's there. You tell me I can't get the money. I can't get the money till it comes out. So it's no different than anything else. It's like it's there in front of me. If I hit the right thing, money will come out. The only question is how much. So then it gets into the main thing that people bet on, and that is sporting events. People bet on all kinds of things: baseball games, football games. The Super Bowl, probably the most bet on game, I think. I think of the entire year. Who's going to make the first tackle? Who's going to get the first holding call? Who's going to make the first touchdown? First down? Like you can bet almost on anything. Totally absurd. So in this case, if the money's placed in front of the person at the time, and each one, let's say there's a pot, right? Everyone puts their money in, so it's like the money's in front of you. So each person, you want to get out of the at least one problem. What do? You take the pot, you take wherever the money is, and you lift it up. Right? You make some sort of acquisition. That's how you acquire something. You lift it off the ground. Right? You don't have to, jump around with it. You just, you take it, you lift it up. Now, if a person thinks they're winning due to their skill, then that should be forbidden. Now, a person could look into a team, look into all these different factors, where they're playing, what time of day it is, all these different things. I mean, there are people that may think they're experts, but, they make mistakes like everyone else. Underdogs, can win, at any time. You never know. You certainly never know. So it's very hard to say that a person's going to win due to their skill. I mean, people may make the claim. I don't understand. I don't understand that. That claim. You say the home team wins 90% of the time or 70% of the time. That may be true. But also depends. Where the other team is holding. Maybe they're on a roll. They're playing much better. Than this other team. There could be any number of factors. Involved. But to say that a person's going to make that decision and that's going to be a skillful decision, a little bit hard to say. And I guess the last thing we'll deal with, and that's how a lot of yeshivas made money, back in the day, and synagogues, really synagogues. I think the yeshivas also to a certain extent. They had bingo nights, right? Bingo, big money, in bingo. So what about playing bingo? There are places that people would play, in the synagogue, or let's say in the side room in the synagogue. And Moshe Feinstein, Zecher Tzadik Livrocha, may his name be blessed, greatest rabbi of the last generation in America, according to everybody, right? Nothing to talk about. And he just derided, this whole thing, even in the side room of a synagogue. Whatever the room is, it's you play in the kitchen, Well, you play whatever, in a side room. You use it for meetings, for different things. He derided the fact that it's in a synagogue. I mean, for goodness sakes, you're in a synagogue. Doesn't matter. You're in a side room, right? If you're in a side room in a synagogue, it's game over, right? Doesn't matter. So he derided this thing tremendously, and said not only total waste of time, right, but never should it be played in the synagogue where people pray, right? In any room where people pray, you should never play this. So bingo is like everything else, right? Bingo is not, it's not a skill, right? It's certainly not a skilled game. So it's basically like you're gambling, just like almost anything else. But there's another aspect of this. And again, even if a person has what happens, I had a question when I learned this many years ago. What happens? Let's say someone's retired. They don't work. Well, that's what it means. They're retired, right? They're retired. They don't work. So what happens? They go to a casino. 3 times a year, right? Let's say they go to a casino 3 times a year. 4 times a year, something like that. Is that okay? Right? Would they be allowed to do it? Because you're going to say, well, they're not working. Right? If they're not working, they're making money, right? Or whatever, making money, losing money. They're not oisek b'yeshiva sha'oila, right? They're not doing anything for the world over here, right? They're not doing anything practically to make money. Okay, they don't need to make money. Fine. They're retired, but since they're not working, this is worse. This would be 10 times worse, right? Because even if you tell me they're working, we can have a leniency. And we could say, you know what, he's not working, fine, it's still going to be rabbinic prohibition, right? But if you tell me the person's not working, that's worse, right? That's a heck of a lot worse. So somebody in that sense, right, who's not working and goes to a casino, right? They go to a casino a number of times a year, right? They go to a casino a number of times a year, then there's a problem. Right, you're certainly gonna run into this issue. It's gonna be much more severe, right? Why is it gonna be more severe? Because it's not working, right? He's definitely not working. That's gonna be that is definitely going to be the issue. Yeah. So in that sense. And so in that sense, you got the halachic issue, but there are, plenty of rabbis who've come out and said being in these places, going into a casino, right, in general is going to be problematic. It's not the atmosphere a person should be in, A, right? I don't even have to explain that. That should be pretty obvious. And B, the issue is going to be that a person is totally wasting time. Now, even if you tell me, how long does it take to bet on a sporting event? How long does it take to play blackjack, to play, a hand of poker, to do these things, whether online, in person? You go, well, it doesn't really take that much time, whatever. It's addictive, right? I think most people would agree that certainly you open up a Pandora's box. And when you open up a Pandora's box, it never ends well, right? Totally never ends well. Right, so in that sense, then the commentaries come out and say it's like one of the worst things a person can do, right? That was what the Rivosh, right? That is what the Rivosh said. That he said that not only is it inappropriate and despicable and abominable, and it's caused many casualties in its path. Now that makes a lot of sense. Right, that makes a lot of sense for one very simple reason, and that is you got plenty of people that are addicted, right? That get addicted to this, lose their shirts, lose their family in the process, right? Many stories. It's an addiction like anything else, and what a person tries to fix up the problem, so to speak, because now they're so much in debt. So what happens? they're so much in debt they have to come back and try and make much more money, and try and do try and recompense that which they lost. But the problem is they keep digging themselves deeper, and the deeper they dig themselves, then when can they only realize they have a problem and they have an issue, right? They're gonna realize they have an issue when they lose everything, right? It doesn't necessarily have to get to that point, but often enough, that is exactly what happens. That a person will basically lose their shirt, and realize that they have to go for help, and and it doesn't have, again, it shouldn't have to come to that, but it's an addiction. It's an addiction like anything else, and that being the case, it's hard to it's hard to get away from. And it can only be when when a person hits rock bottom, that that's when they can finally like pick up the pieces. So there are certain cases where a person will be able to do it in the privacy of their own home. You'll tell me they don't have to go to a casino, they don't have to see this stuff, they can gamble on their own, right? They don't have to meet anybody, they can do it in the privacy of their own home on their phone or whatever, right? In either case, it's a very slippery slope, right? Going down that path, it never ends. It never ends well. So you gotta, you definitely have to, definitely have to nip it in the bud, right? So it's easier in a certain sense today because you don't have to go to these places, right? You can do it. You can do everything online, but there is the thrill of the chase. There is the thrill of the excitement of being there and the lights and the glamour and whatever. Go to Sin City, go to Las Vegas, go to these places. It's pure entertainment. I mean, I guess people like to lose money because the casinos usually win. So it's 100% pure entertainment. But still, people enjoy it. People want to win, and those are definitely some of the issues and some of the practical issues, that have to do with gambling in general.
Okay.
Yeah, we got anyone got any questions on that?
It looked like you were reading something, like you're going to read something off the screen. Let me check the YouTube channel real fast and see what's going on there. Let me get this back over switch. And, okay, so I don't see anything tagged or flagged.
Okay.
So that may be somebody said on YouTube, said that gambling such as bingo supports many Orthodox synagogues in New York.
Right.
Is that true?
Yeah, it's an issue. I'm saying that Moshe Feinstein says you shouldn't do it.
Oh, okay.
It's totally forbidden. But that's exactly the point that was made. That's how a lot of synagogues made money.
Okay.
Some of them may actually, some may actually, do it because even if they don't win, they're giving it to charity. So they're giving it to the synagogue. So the synagogue's making money.
Okay.
Right, but I can't imagine too many yeshivas would be so excited, to get money, to make money through that type of thing. The way that, the way they raise money, they do Chinese auction, right? Chinese auction would be also a similar thing, that you're giving money to charity, and okay, the person really think they're going to win? Probably not, right? But if it's already for the sake of charity, you have the value of the ticket, then that's much, it's much less of a problem, right? Especially the fact that, you have the value, and besides having the value, you have the, you're giving money to charity. You're already in your mind, you're giving money to charity. So that's what a lot of places do. They, they have these, Chinese auctions or whatever. The question would be, let's say yeshiva or a school, whatever, wanted to raise money because they have a casino night. Kind of goes against the very, the very thing, I guess, that they want to do. But again, it could be a similar thing, in the sense that people are giving money to charity, but, you're doing it, that way. So, there's a famous story of Chaim Wasserman, Hashem Yikam Damo, God should avenge his blood. He was in America, and he went to see somebody about, he was there raising money for yeshiva in Baranovich, and whatever, he spoke to somebody there, and the person was telling him, yeah, I got a lot of people that can help you, etc. And a lot of people pitched in, wanted to give him money from like a gambling night. They have he's got like a whole bunch of people, play poker or whatever. And he said, what do you? So Chanan said, I'm not going to take that money, and they laughed at him. They laughed at him like, come on, this is America. This is what goes on. Other yeshivas don't have any problem taking money from this. So why do you have, so why do you have such a problem? It's like, oh, it's like this European, this European mentality, this old European mentality, etc. But we held his ground. He said, I'm not,
Right.
I'm not taking money that's going to be used, that's going to be made in such a way that's going to have a spiritual influence on the walls of the yeshiva and of the students of the yeshiva.
Okay. Another question that popped up was by Andrea. She's one of our admins on YouTube. Would investing be like gambling? Because you're taking a chance on investing.
By the stock market. Maybe by the stock market, that's the question.
Right.
I mean, regular investment, it's not, you're not gambling. It's not, you're getting, you're hoping to get a certain payout. It's not exactly.
But it's a hope, though. You're putting money out with hopes to get more back. That's the same thing as playing cards.
Right, but in this sense, if you invest it with somebody, and this person will claim, invest the money here, invest it there, because they're doing it based on wisdom. It's not just a haphazard thing and say, oh, I'm going to put money on this stock because it begins with C. My name is Chaim. My name begins with C. I'm going to put the money there. That might be an issue. But if people are using skills, right? You ask these financial people, they'll say, yeah.
Okay, so if I am good at playing poker and I use skill to win,
that's a problem. That is a problem because
why it seems hypocritical if it's okay to use skill to invest, but it's not okay to use skill to play cards. I don't get that.
No, because playing cards is something else.
Okay.
Right? Playing cards has a whole thing, right? Has a whole philosophical outlook in and of itself. Right? In the financial world, you put money in the stock market, or you put money in houses. You buy houses somewhere and you're going to sell them, you're going to flip them later, or something like that. Or you're putting money into companies, and the companies, you hope are going to grow at a certain level, whatever. That's a skill set when it comes to finance. Now you might say this is like picking at straws, right? I don't think it's anywhere comparable to this topic at all, because when you're looking at a skill set in playing poker, right? Playing poker is not investing in a house. It's not investing in diamonds, right? It's not the same. It's totally not the same. The same skill set. It's not.
It's investing. It's investing in money, though.
Wisdom.
I mean, isn't that right? It's investing in money. It's like Bitcoin, for example. You put in money, and the hope is that it's going to like give you a lot more money. So you're investing in money. When playing cards and poker, you're investing in money, not an asset. So with Wall Street, you're still investing in money for the most part. So I still don't see the difference.
Let's see if we can look at it in a different way.
Okay.
When you're doing something with cards, right, and you're going to say it involves skill, right? You ask someone who plays poker, what's the skill, right? Part of the skill is knowing, when to hold, when to fold, right? Showing your quote unquote, poker face, so to speak, no pun intended. But when you invest in a company, right, you're right. It's money and it's money, right? But a person, when you check out the company, it's not the same thing as playing cards. Playing cards is its own entity, right? When you're playing cards, even if you use a skill set, it's the whole mentality of what it means to play cards. If you're investing money, you want to make more money, and you want to put more money on the table, that's one, you want to put, more money on the table, whatever. That's one thing. When a person's playing cards, right, even if it takes a skill set, what are you doing? right? You're totally 100% wasting time. This on the other hand,
That's
you know,
funny.
you want to build up your portfolio.
I would have
Yeah.
to. I know two people specifically that I
Yeah.
know right now, and they both. It's not wasting time with them. They win a lot of money playing poker. It's absolutely not a waste of time at all. Now, I will tell you this: as you're talking, I did think of something. Why playing poker or gambling other people for money would be wrong is because in that process of gambling, you're having to go through the act of trickery, and trickery is not good when you're actually investing. And granted, you're not trying to trick anybody when you go to Bitcoin. You're kind of going with a company in hopes to profit. It's not hurting an individual. Like when you're investing in Wall Street, same thing. They're not trying to trick you. They're just putting up the stats of what's happening in the moment, and you win or you lose. But in poker,
But the difference is
there's a lot of
this is an
deception.
entity.
Right.
This is something that could go up or go down.
Right.
Right, in value. Other things, if you bet on a ball game or other things, you absolutely have zero control. Right, that's the major difference. Poker, you might say, is a little bit different because it's more of a skill set. Right, but almost anything else, you have zero control. I mean, people will say horse racing, you have more, maybe you have more control because the horse is better.
So is that it then? So you can gamble on things you have zero control over, but you can't. I'm asking.
No.
Oh,
just
because you don't have any, but you don't have any control over the market, though. So investing in market or investing is the same thing. You don't have control over what you're investing in.
So it's also, that's also true. But again, when it comes to something like that, you're investing to make money. Whatever, it doesn't matter whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's the stock market, whether it's anything else, whether it's property or whatever. You're investing in something you're hoping is going to go up. When a person bets on a ball game, right? Football, horse racing, whatever, right? You're not investing in anything, right? You're putting money down, hoping you're hoping, okay, this horse is going to win.
Well, technically,
right?
that is an investment. Put money down with hopes to get something more back.
It's not the same thing. I don't know how you can compare.
Right.
I don't know how you can compare the two.
Right.
I
can see how
it'd be one thing if you own stock in the horse.
Right.
And you bet a lot of money on the horse, right? Because you want to make more money. That I might hear. But if you have no connection whatsoever to the horse. You don't have any connection to anything.
Do you have to have
he's going to win. I'm going to make money.
But why do you have to have a connection to it to win something from it? Why is that important? Like going back to the stock market again. People investing in things, they don't know what it is. They're just going with where the numbers are. They have no connection to it whatsoever.
Because normally you're saying is, I'm going to make a condition. I'm making a condition. That's what this asmachta is. I'm going to make a condition, and I'm going to say, okay, if I put this amount down, I'm going to get X.
But you have no control over that, though.
Do you have control over the horse race?
No, just like you don't have control over the stock market.
Okay, so maybe the stock market should be forbidden for that reason, but it's not. People invest in it because you have to say that right. you look at it, you looked at it as a different way. It's not the same thing. What exactly is the picky in detail? Right, I don't know. Right. Maybe I didn't explain.
I think in my mind, I think now with all the stuff you're discussing, and it's a lot of important things to consider. I never even considered those things before, but I think like for me, I would say. For me only, not me telling anybody else what to do, but for me, what I would choose to do would be buy the lottery ticket. That just involves me and the lottery. Doesn't involve other people. Doesn't involve me trying to trick somebody or bluff them out or whatever. No dishonesty at all. I'm going to buy this, and if I win, great. If I don't, it's okay. So if I play the lottery, same thing. In general, it's not involving anybody else. It's just me. And so for me, I'm thinking that would make sense, but to involve something where you have to trick somebody to win that money, that to me seems like that would certainly be forbidden. And it's definitely.
So then you would say buying a lottery ticket is no different than putting money in the stock market.
Yeah, that's how I would view it for sure. Because it's the pure logic of it is put money and hope to get more back, plain and simple. So, just an opinion, though.
Okay. No, because others make a distinction also whether you're playing against another person, or a few people, or you're playing with a group. Right? Yeah. That my Rebbe makes a distinction that you have no control. this could be like 100 people, could be 1,000 people, could be 1,000,000 people.
Right. But you're still having to
right?
trick people, though. If it's cards, you're definitely having to trick people, though, is the only thing.
No, if it's right, that's the difference.
Yeah.
Right. If it's a huge entity, let's say that's no different than the stock market's no different than
right.
Then that would be no different. But if you have like 1 or 2 people and you think actually, you could win, even if there is no trickery involved, that could be an issue also. That could be also a distinction for
right. Okay, let's move to the last topic. We've only got about 5 minutes or so, so you're gonna have to talk fast. Tattoos, are they forbidden to get? Are they forbidden to have? Like I had a friend of mine told me, he said it's forbidden to get a tattoo, but it's not forbidden to have one. I'm like, wait, how do you get one without having one? But anyway, the point was, I got a tattoo years ago, and then after I already had the tattoo, I came to the knowledge of Hashem and stuff. And so I said, well, should I get it removed? And he said, if you get it removed, you're going to be scarring your body again. To get rid of one scar, you're going to put another one on top of it. It's kind of it doesn't. It's the same thing as getting a second tattoo if you try to remove it. So anyway, what are your thoughts?
So the Torah says, what's the Torah prohibition of getting a tattoo is for idolatry. Right, that's really what the Torah prohibition is. Anything else that a person does on their body, right, it is considered somewhat of a mutilation of the body. So that's going to be forbidden. Now it's only forbidden a one-shot deal, right? In other words, once it's done, it's done. It's not like something for the next 50 years, 70 years, whenever a person got it. Every single second he transgresses by having it, right? In other words, once it's done, it's done. Now, the question is about taking it off, right? So it used to be taking it off. Well, it's time-consuming and expensive, right, nowadays because people do it through laser, right? But the thing is, so this person that you quoted is right to a certain extent. What happens? You have this tattoo, and now, in order to get it off, you end up making a wound, right? So you end up making a wound. That's definitely a rabbinic prohibition. Now, there are rabbinical authorities that hold that it's still better to make a wound is only rabbinic prohibition. So it's still better to take it off, transgress a rabbinic prohibition, than have the thing on.
That does make sense.
Now the only thing that it has to do with anything, is if let's say a woman had it and she went to the mikveh, right? Is it considered part of the body or not? Right? If it's considered part of the body, then it's not a problem. I don't have to take it off. If it's not considered part of the body, it's like a separate entity, then there would be an obligation. The question is it a barrier to the skin or not, or is it really part of the skin? So we hold that's the only thing that makes any difference when a person has a tattoo, and we hold that if a woman goes, not a problem, right? She doesn't have to take it off. They here in Israel, I've heard that a person has a tattoo. And if they have that tattoo when they die, so they use some sort of chemical and get it off before the person's buried. So I asked actually, my Rebbe about it. He says, after a person dies, 120 years, they get upstairs, God and say, hey, what's that tattoo? Get that Tasmanian devil out of here. That ain't gonna be good. Right. So he said here they get it off. I don't know exactly what use. To get it off. Also, someone converts. Same thing. Okay. That would be the same. That would definitely be the same issue about a person converts. But again, it's no different than a woman going to the mikveh. They don't have to get rid of it, but a lot of people do, want to get rid of it because they just don't want to have it.
Right.
Is there an obligation to? There's not an obligation to, but I would definitely tell people it's definitely a good thing if you can, if you can afford it, just to get rid of it. What do you need it for? As my Rebbe said, it better be over rabbinic prohibition of making a wound than having that stupid thing. I heard someone quote, I don't believe someone said it, but if they said it, they're an idiot for getting out there in the public. That someone told somebody, a potential convert, you don't have to take it off, right? You should keep it and wear it like a red badge of courage. Now, I don't believe this person said it. If he did say it, he's an idiot, because imagine a person goes to the mikveh and he's got a Tasmanian devil all the way down his back. He's like, yeah, don't worry about it. It's my red badge of courage.
Right. That's crazy.
So, like I said, if people can afford to take it off, they should.
Yeah.
If they can't, or it's an issue they don't want to, okay, it's a one-time transgression.
Right. That's
right?
true.
You know, unless it's idolatry. I know people that have put JC there and on different parts of their body.
Right.
That's a different issue if it's done for idolatry. If it's not done for idolatry, okay, it's forbidden to do, and once it's there, then there's a question whether you should take it off or not. But it's not something that continues the entire time. Every second of every day, once you add that tattoo, that's it. You transgress the Torah prohibition. It's not.
Right.
No, it's not true.
That makes good sense. So, well, I think we're pretty much out of time. So, Rabbi, I thank you so much for the shows as usual. It's always a pleasure discussing these very interesting topics.
Because you got no one else who will do it.
So if there's anybody else out there who has more questions on controversial topics, please send them to me or Rabbi. Rabbi, what was your email address again?
Very difficult. Rabbi Chaim Coffman at gmail.com.
There you go. Rabbi Chaim Coffman at gmail.com.
CHAIMCOFFMAN at gmail.com.
Very good. Okay. Well, thank you. And you guys have a great week. Shavua Tov, everybody. Take care. Bye.
All right. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, shalom.
חשוב והכרחי להיות ביחד. איפוק זו העוצמה, ויתור זו הגדולה, השאיפה והכמיהה. אני אתה אתם תמיד כולם ביחד. חשוב מכל חשוב והכרחי להיות ביחד. איפוק זו העוצמה, ויתור זו הגדולה, השאיפה והכמיהה. בסוף כולנו שותפים